This is Hollywood in Hollywild Radio, broadcast from Mariposa, California, one of the oldest towns on the West Coast. Originally made famous for gold, it's now primarily known for the beauty that gold was found in. Once there was no more of it laying around, and they could all look up and see how incredible the country was. Its indigenous peoples, the mysteries, Half Dome and El Capitan, two huge mammoth granite mountain faces that have been sloughing off pieces of their faces for ages. It was wild when the Miwok peoples first came here, and it still is. We have schools and stores and a post office and some good drinking spots and occasionally incredible entertainment like the Yosemite Music Festival that was last weekend. The music was as good as any big city, but, well, we had the Milky Way galaxy to stare at while the bands changed stage. Music is made with the higher mind. Literature is too. All the arts are. And it happens to be one thing we've done right since our very beginnings. Your early Neanderthals were the first painters, potters, jewelers, sculptors, historians, and musicians. And we've been doing the same for 130,000 years now. That's pretty good. I think we deserve a pat on the back for that. And kids drawing on walls is in their DNA. We probably shouldn't be so hard on them. It's hardwired in there. Did it ever occur to you why they do it without prompting or showing or telling or demonstrating? They just do it naturally. It's because it's in their DNA. People are going to make art, whatever the law is or the times are. It's in our nature. We can't help it. It's going to happen, and no one can stop it. That's why art is so terrifying to capitalism. It's beyond its realm of scope. Art making is ethereal. It's smoky and slippery. It's uncontrollable, and it's difficult to enforce disciplines. Creation comes when it comes, but there are ways to set it up to happen regularly. We've been talking about the higher mind and trying to change perspective, and maybe it's time to talk about my toolbox for success. Yeah, I got one of those. It's a bunch of ways to deal with everything, so I can do art with as much of my time as I possibly can. It lets me categorize things in levels of real importance, so I don't have to deal with guilt or self-shaming. It's the worst. Like any group of tools, they take practice to master. But when I do, success is easier at anything, and it's more likely because I don't waste time. I waste time. Don't get me wrong. But it's doing things I want to waste time on. And wasting time is also a valuable tool of my success box. Look, I know I can't do any action or art all the time. I need breaks, or I'll burn out. We all do. Art or any other project becomes stale. It loses its vigor, its creative spirit. All people, including me, must do other things to get their minds completely off subject and into some other non-related thing that requires full concentration. But fun. Something that uses different parts of your brain. For example, I'm in the studio staring at foam walls much of the day. You'd think I was crazy. If I had the jacket, I wouldn't be able to say anything. And I take regular breaks away from my work every hour. But, even after 3 or 6 hours, I need a complete break. which I include in my timeline to complete productions, such as this show. I play video games. Not first-person shooter games or fighting games. I don't like those. I like driving Formula One cars. Yeah, I have a little steering wheel, and it vibrates so I can feel the curbs, and I have pedals for my feet, an accelerator and brake, and the cars go fast. I mean, really fast, 200 miles an hour fast. It's impossible to think of anything else when I play it. And I hate crashing and losing. Ugh. But after one race, I can go back to work and concentrate and make progress in a focused way, sometimes for many more hours. I mean, this is an essential tool in my chest of creativity. I constantly set myself up for success and give myself treats or special acknowledgments every day. And as a result, I don't have to deal with the incriminating inner voice that haunts so many people so much of the day. You know the voice I'm talking about. It's the voice that doesn't let things just be what they are, and it makes mountains out of molehills. It concentrates only on the negative. It never has answers to the problems or even understanding. It just pesters and ruins focus. Who has time for that? No one, if you have to pay rent every month. And stress kills. And it loves to kill art or whatever project you're working on. Just get stress out of your house and lock the door. Don't let it back in. Sometimes you have to say goodbye to someone and stress at the same time. This is Life-Saving 101. You save yourself first, then reach, throw, row, and finally go. Double drownings happen more on dry ground than in water. Always reach, throw, or row before you go. Okay, so another tool in my box is how I deal with time. Oh, I don't like being pushed, which is kind of funny because I'm always being pushed by a microphone or a script, but I set the boundaries on how I'm pushed, and I acknowledge consciously all of my compromises. I don't make compromises that I don't actually acknowledge, because that's where you get into trouble. And I schedule my time so I'm not rushed. I learned rushing from my parents. I mean, they had 6 kids in 6 years. They had to rush just to be late and avoid never. I mean, we were less than a year apart in birthdays. It was madness, just like creating art is always. You give yourself extra time. And trust me when I say that. I know what I'm saying. After 40 years in the city, I know how hard that is. People in Europe, though, they do that every day. They don't let themselves get pushed into working their lives away for money. And if you take your schedule back, you'll take back your life and enjoy it a lot more. You're not missing anything by not being somewhere else. If you're thinking about being somewhere you're not, you're missing twice. The place where you are now and the place where you were never intended to be. And if you're not there, it was never going to happen. Your path is different from everyone's. It's supposed to be like that. And it's a good thing. When I look back on my life, for particular periods of time I felt were like truly wasted, in retrospect, I see now they were vital. And so I have to be sensitive to what is right for me. And sometimes the path is really rugged and filled with more obstacles than shown on a map. Sometimes it's culture shock, moving from LA to solitude and finding some real downsides to privacy. But much of what I've learned in the city works in the country, better than ever with regard to disciplines and results. But I shouldn't be surprised. It's a toolbox, and tools work anywhere. Sometimes well, and others not so good. This show, I'm going to talk with Amanda Fletcher about the Pan America EV Fellowship. And we're going to chat about the higher mind, and maybe she'll share some ways that she sets herself up for success. And then we're going to slip into LA and chat with a rising star in the painting world, James Rieck. He takes images of the past and then recasts the players into people of color in the most realistic ways. We'll talk about his work, the narrative he employs of redescribing our past into the present, and how it should have been, and more importantly, how it could be. Eric Skirmahorn is off this weekend, vacation and shopping for colleges with soccer teams for his kids. He's taking a well-deserved vacation someplace cooler than here. But I'll be sharing some music with you heard just a taste of on our last show. The band, the Blank Tapes. I love this band. And Matt Adams has such a delicious musical palette. This is Hollywood in Hollywild Radio on KRYZradio.org and broadcast locally on 98.5 LPFM. Let's dig into some music. I heard the Blank Tapes last weekend at the Yosemite Music Festival, and I really had to sit down and listen. There was so much about them that tickled my ears. Listening to the album Candy was like listening to all the music of the last 60 years, deconstructed, mashed up, and then reassembled into new music that isn't just contemporary. The lyrics continue the journey into deeper thoughts. First, we're going to be listening to a song called Feels Like Summer, and boy, does it ever feel like summer when you hear this song. It just conjures up all the daydreamy summer days and what you were thinking about and where you wanted to be and where you are. Then we're going to hear a song that reminded me of Buddy Holly and 60s rock. It's titled Light in the Dark. And then we're going to hear a tune called It's On My Mind. And finally, to wrap it all up, we're going to hear Thinking About You. It's a great finishing song that helps us all realize that we're all thinking about each other, and that's a good thing. I'm feeling a little froggy, so let's jump on into Feels Like Summer by the Blank Tapes. James Rieck has been selling paintings for many years. His work is a bit like jewelry and very breathtaking, but it only takes a few seconds to realize he's playing with much bigger powers. He's playing with myths. James likes killing mythological giants.
Imagination, it's a thing we live by, Dave.
That is exactly that's a great thing. So I should probably introduce you to our audience. Ladies and gentlemen, I've known this guy for 6 years or so. Right? Is that right, Jim?
Yeah, something like that. 2012, yeah. I think that's when we met.
Yeah. And Jim is a remarkable painter. I gave a little intro about you earlier on in the show, and it sounds really good.
Thank you.
The Jim is a remarkable painter, and Jim, can you tell us some of the places where your work is shown and where you sell it?
Well, funnily enough, I have a painting in a group show tonight. It opens tonight in New York City at the Lions Rear Gallery.
And you're on the other coast, of course.
I'm here in LA. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a summer show, and the gallery's been doing those shows for 25 years, and it's the 25th anniversary show.
Oh wow! So that's fantastic.
So it's got a good group of people.
I saw your post. Is that the gal with the blue skirt?
Yes. It's a painting of a woman in a knitted skirt from her waist down to just about above her ankle. So you just have the skirt basically standing in front of Guernica, Picasso's Guernica. And so
famous
there's a
painting.
kind of play of the space of someone standing in front of the painting, but
it's a great piece.
Sort of a tribute and a kind of joke at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Because you have a great sense of humor about that visually. I want to share your website. Would you please call out your website for everybody so that they can go?
My website is my name, which is James Rieck, JamesRieck.com.
RIECK.
And you can. Exactly. It's like Rick, but it has an E right in the middle.
Okay, cool. So let's do a little bit of backstory on you really quick. Is that cool? Right, cool.
I'm wide open.
So when did you get started painting?
Well, I'm one of those people who kind of always knew what he was going to do because I was obsessed with painting ever since I was. I would say I committed when I was 15 years old that I knew that that's what I was going to do for a living. And funnily enough that you bring that up, was at that time that Picasso died and in 1980, and my parents brought me to his retrospective. I mean, I don't know if that's when Picasso died, but that's when Picasso's retrospective was at the MoMA, and that's when I saw Guernica for the first time.
Wow.
So there you go.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's an interesting loop or not, but there you go, Dave.
No. I mean, as you know, and we've had many discussions about this over a table. Life is full of moments like that, and if you don't have your eye out for it, they slip by, and nobody notices them. And as you and I both know, they're delightful to discover, and they're all, the poignant perspective is always, indelibly etched in the mind. It's great.
And I think it's just actually that's a funny thing to say, and I agree. And also, there's a lot of other things that go with that. Funnily enough, that's exactly the same time I understood that I hated Cubism. Because no, really, it's one of these things where I think people have strong feelings about things. Maybe they don't always tell everybody, or maybe it's not the proper way to look at things. But we all have our opinions about things. Maybe you don't like a popular song, or maybe you're really in love with a really corny song and you don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And these are great inspirations for for creativity. And these little connections that we have when we start making and creating, little synapses firing in our brain. We don't really make complete understanding over,
Yeah, exactly. And we get rewarded for it too. Our brain produces chemicals. We get treats for using our mind harder. That's pretty cool.
It is. I think that's what conceptual art is, an interesting thing, and that's why it's lasted so long. I think there are a lot of different ways to look at it. For me, painting is really a visceral experience, and it's not even so much a conceptual one. It's more of something that hits you immediately. You don't really think about it. You turn a corner in a museum or in a gallery or in someone's house or your own house, and you see something out of the corner of your eye or right in front of you for a second, and the painting, the visual experience is instantaneous.
Yeah.
It's, the speed of light. Yeah. And we are taken by something or not at that very moment. It's part of how we experience art, painting specifically.
All the way back to cave paintings.
Right. I think, it's one of those things where, not to make another full circle for you, Dave, but Picasso went to the cave paintings when they first found them, funnily enough, and he walks out and says, "We've learned nothing."
That's right.
It's not.
That's right. I remember really that. That's so brilliant. And it's so true. I was writing the intro essay for the show in the last couple of days, and I was remarking in the show, we've been doing the same thing for 130,000 years. We haven't stopped doing it. We still make pots.
Yeah.
We still make paintings. We still write. Now we have a much more vibrant literary world than we did 130,000 years ago, but there was still everybody did art back then. There was nobody in the Neanderthal world that wasn't doing art in some way. I mean, it was a part of everybody's life.
You know this as well as I do. Anyone playing music, anyone making art, doing anything creative, it's a primal experience, and that's how we find the
that is
whatever
true.
The creative source and all that comes from a primal place.
That's really true, and yet we don't seem to employ our higher mind when we move around through the survival part of life. And I think that if we did, we'd be a lot more successful at all that stuff that gets in your way when you're trying to make art. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, because the mind is an incredibly important part of making art. It's the reason that Homo sapiens started making art in caves altogether. It's because there was some transformation in their brain or in the spirit, or I don't know. I'm not.
Well, yeah, Simon was saying that.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right?
yes. Simon was saying the other day on the show, Einstein's felt like his biggest accomplishment wasn't E equals MC squared, or the work that he did with gravity or with the sun. It was that he figured out how to use his brain. And just by figuring out how to use his brain, he was able to accomplish all those other things, which, I mean, I guess the way he looked at it was, E equals MC squared was a symptom of learning how to use his brain. And his whole thing was, he talked about visualizing things in space, which is, both, I mean, I painted enough to know a little bit about what you do, and you have to visualize that stuff before you pick up a paintbrush or you're lost.
Yeah, and sometimes I find myself lost. It's a funny thing you should say that, and then I have to re-visualize. It is like that. You do have to, or I do, and I know what you're getting at. I have to visualize what I'm doing, and you have to have a certain confidence in it too. right? There's a mystery to it,
process,
but there's a certainty to it.
Yeah.
There's a zone, and you're not guessing when you're doing it right. You're
Right.
it.
I was talking about that earlier on this show. You have to constantly try to set yourself up for success, and you do that by having a box of tools that helps you deal with just about the rough edges of every kind of problem that could come up or interfere, or that you can incorporate into whatever it is that you're working on. And I have this really great toolbox that's full of stuff like that, like how to manage time and how to not listen to that shaming voice that pops into my head. It's like, are you crazy, dude? Are you out of your mind? You have no right to do that, that kind of stuff. So, so give us some more tools from your toolbox.
Dave, the thing is that I think it relates to what you're saying about creativity. It also involves environment and the environment someone is in. And I think the whole premise of your show, Hollywood and Hollywood Wild, is a notion of taking what I think California is rich in is a lot of money on the coast, and a lot of people who are creative are finding it too expensive maybe to be there, and you're moving inland like you did, and they change their environment, and that changes a lot about the creative energy that they are in, or everybody knows that. A little less hectic, or a little more wild.
Everybody knows that. Okay, now that's true. Everybody knows that, but nobody really does it. That's that's really kind of a bizarre thing.
That's a funny thing to say. I think that's right.
And
I think you have to commit to the art. If you're going to be a creative person, it drives you, and it also heals you. So it becomes a paramount part of one's life to do whatever it takes to be creative. If one can quit, they will. And if you have something in you that won't stop, that just keeps going, then you'll find your home. You'll find your place.
That's so true. You just
I don't
know how to turn off being creative. It's the only thing that I know how to do. I haven't had a proper 8 to 5 job in, I guess, since '95.
Well, I think for the whole country, it's easier now to work at home on some level.
Now,
sexy and artsy, and
now I work.
The internet's changed everything.
And now everybody works 24/7, 365. This next song from the album Candy by the Blank Tapes is called Light in the Dark.
Drop on your head, sing to the morning sun.
This is KRYZradio.org on 98.5 Low Power FM from the Sierra Nevada. You met Amanda on one of our first shows. Amanda is the manager of the Emerging Voices Fellowship at Pen America and a travel writer for West Coast Magazine. Hi, Amanda. How you doing? Welcome to the show, Hollywood and Hollywild Radio. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Dave Thomas, again.
Hey, so what have you been up to lately? What have you been doing?
Oh, my goodness, so many things. So we are in outreach for the 2019 Emerging Voices Fellowship.
That's right.
Solidly in the center. Application closes August 1st. So we have been traveling around Southern California and meeting potential applicants. And yesterday we were on a podcast for 1888 Center in Orange County. We've got this amazing intern from LACAC, which is the LA County Arts Commission.
What
Every
is her
year
name?
we apply for a grant. Molina.
Yes.
Did you get an email from her?
Yep, I did.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, she's really cool.
Super excited.
Everybody
Super excited
there
to
at
have her.
Penn is uber cool.
Well, I don't know about Uber, but good enough.
Seriously, Uber fits perfectly. It really does. And tell us what the Emerging Voices Fellowship is again.
So the Emerging Voices Fellowship is a literary mentorship, and it's based in Los Angeles. We take 5 writers a year. We've been doing it for a little over 20 years. Writers who don't have MFAs or advanced degrees in creative writing, and we pair them with a published writer as a mentor. We give them master classes. They get a UCLA Extension Writers Program class. They get to meet writing professionals in the city, be it published authors, agents, editors, publishers, to talk about the craft of writing. They also do 3 public readings in Los Angeles. And they get this amazing full-day voice class with voiceover actor Dave Thomas.
That is true. I can vouch that is true what she says. It's a remarkable program, and a lot of people that go to this program, some of them with like a high school education, go on to write books and get published.
We've got almost 50 books.
Wow.
By the end of August, we'll have 146 fellows. By the beginning of 2019, there'll be, I think, 49, maybe even 50 books in our roster.
That's incredibly successful.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, what's in your toolbox of success there at Penn that makes that happen like that all the time?
I think that we ultimately choose writers that are very talented, that are very driven. I think a lot of times when people are applying for fellowships and grants, residencies, those are the people that really want it, because most of those organizations don't make it particularly easy for you to get awarded these things.
That's true.
Applications are, sometimes pages and pages long, and, before we switch over to Submittable in the last couple of years, you used to have to do 5 copies of your application, and there's 10 questions, 500 words a question, and you had to copy everything 5 times, send it in a packet, so it wasn't easy. So, you're picking people that, because really, you can be a great writer, but if you're not driven to finish the project, you're not going to get to the point of having a published
exactly.
piece. Yeah, so I think that's what it is. I think that we really focus on immersing people in the LA literary community, so they get a lot of support.
But you start with
as
finishers.
Yeah. And I think, as you know, because you're writing now so much, writing is very solitary.
Yeah, it is. So that kind of works out for up here a lot for me.
Right.
All right, so we're trying to get people out there, writers, poets, journal, all.
We do creative, nonfiction, fiction, and poetry. Those are our 3 genres.
Okay. So if you
short story, novel.
Yeah, if you write in any one of these, or you always wanted to, and you got, you got the talent. You've been doing this. You've been writing. You've got journals, stacks of journals, and you just feel like you need to talk to somebody. You're ready for the next step. Go to the pen.org.
Pen.org.
Pen.com.
Or you can search the PEN America Emerging Voices Fellowship.
Okay.
Or 2019 PEN America Emerging Voices Fellowship, and that's going to take you right to the submittable application, and it's got everything you'll need there. Your application, also eligibility requirements, and any background stuff you might want.
Okay, for the right person out there, you're having a life-changing moment right now. And I'm really jealous of you having that, because I've had these moments before, and they are remarkable. Because for you, the whole world turned on an access. It was like right over the top of your head, and your life's going to be different right now forever, and it's really super exciting. Okay, so cool. We got that person or persons. What if two people from the area that I reach ended up being in PEN? Emerging
That'd
voice.
be amazing.
I know. That would be, I would just be like, the odds of that are really, really crazy.
Well, it's also when we're in like Orange County and only, say, 5 people come to a meet and greet. It's like, okay, but even if 2 of those people apply.
Right.
And like
exactly.
if one of them makes it to even the interview process, it's like that was worth it.
Yeah. And then what if one of those people is the author that has the book that everybody in the country reads and changes everybody's perspective? That
would be so great.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's so great about art and art making and literature. And we were talking to a painter earlier. Okay, so just a really quick recap. So what have you been up to? Have you been traveling? What's been going on?
Oh, my goodness, sir. I have not been traveling because as a travel writer, you do the trip, and then they expect you to write about it. What is that? That is some nonsense, as far as I'm concerned.
So you're having to put up some work.
Yeah. So I'm in this process of putting up some work. I'm writing about Tuscany, my trip to Tuscany, and then on top, back to back was Tuscany and Japan. So both of those pieces are due by the end of the month.
Okay.
I'm also writing for a new
those
online
pieces are
website.
due for what publication?
For Coast Magazine. It's an Orange County luxury lifestyle magazine.
Yeah, very upscale, very pretty.
So upscale. Yeah. It's so great because I get to do trips that I would never be able to afford on my lowly writer's salary.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and the magazine's been around for a long time. And our good friend Samantha Dunn, who's also been on the show.
Love her.
Yeah, she's the best. Okay, so so you're writing, you're doing all that stuff. It's coming out in a month.
Yes.
Well, we'll check with you. When do the new EV Fellows get announced?
New EV Fellows get announced the end of November. I think interview day is November 17th. It's a Saturday, and then we don't leave until we make our choice. So that day is always very long. Lots of cookies and pizza. And so then we try to do the announcement, if not that Monday, then Tuesday.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, exciting stuff. Well, hopefully we'll have you back before November so we can get an update. And
I hope so.
I wish everybody the best of luck on this fellowship. And Amanda, thanks for coming on. I can't wait to read about your adventures in Coast Magazine.
Hey, and also make sure that your listeners, if they do apply, that they mention where they heard about the fellowship, because we want to know that they heard about it from you.
Let's take a break and listen to another song on the album Candy by the Blank Tapes called It's in My Mind.
Sad, but it's in my mind.
And now let's wrap up with painter James Rieck. You know,
it's true. I do that just exactly that.
you know, I mean, we're all so busy.
Yeah.
And that, you know, and we have to, okay, so taking that into consideration, I mean, I talked about one of the things that I do to give myself a complete break away from my artistic medium that I'm working in. And, you know, lately it's been a lot of writing and working on this show. But I have to get completely away from it, and I have to do something that doesn't have anything to do with it. And sometimes it's, you know, chores around the ranch, which are cool. But, you know, in the middle of the day, 105 degrees, you can't be out doing chores in the sun. You die.
That's right.
You know, and they won't find me until next August, you know, and they'll go, those must be Dave's bones. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm afraid there's a lot of people out there.
I mean, yeah, because, you know, there's just nobody up here, you know, nobody would know. But the thing about it is I've got to get a break. So I play video games, and I do that race car
Oh,
thing.
you do?
Yeah. So if I'm like burning the oil hard, you know, writing from like 7:30 in the morning until 12:30, I need a break.
Yeah.
I need to do something completely different. So I fire up the video game. And
I think it's great. Yeah, you have to turn your mind onto something else so that you can be relieved of the weight of having to think about what your work or whatever it is. You know, a lot of people, I think, experience that. No, video games are popular for that reason. But I hear what you're saying, though. I think there is a place where that's some kind of empty space, some other kind of
where you can shut down everything else.
I don't know.
Yeah, and not think about it. You know, that's the key.
Yeah.
What do you do to take a break? Do you think yoga is one of your things?
Well, yeah, I think yoga always helps. I think it helps everybody. But that's a funny thing you say, video games. I play Scrabble, actually, to be honest with you. I think there is a kind of... Yeah, exactly. It's a kind of video game in a sense, but it's online, and, you know,
completely different.
Kind of, the virtual world is taking over all of our minds, one way or another. You know, artificial intelligence is behind that too, on some level. That it's going to transform the future of how we all operate. I mean, Dave, you and I are old enough to know how fast everything has changed. People might think things are actually slow, but the capacity to communicate and share information has, you know, changed all of our minds. And we have less attention span. What were we saying? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like that if you stay on one topic too long, it becomes a difficult thing to hold on to because we switch gears all the time. Yeah.
It's
And I think the process of being creative also, I find, I made this joke with you before. My life is spent staring at the wall watching paint dry. That's literally what most of my time is. And it slows down. And I find that actually painting is a kind of analog form, you know. And
well, painting is very linear in the way that you have to apply everything, but there's parts of what you apply at certain stages that will have different effects later on, depending on how you apply those stages too. So, I mean,
absolutely, there is a great deal of philosophy I have about layering paint, and life is like paint, and drying, and periods of time in one's life, and how you apply your paint is how the end product will be. And your underpainting matters the most in that sense. With utopia, right? I mean, if we all know that change is inevitable, change is the only thing that's constant, then if you create a utopia, well, then the next stage is not utopia, right? We're in a constant battle for something we don't actually want to have come to complete fruition. Otherwise, it will be gone.
Yeah.
Right? Things only last so long in the world, no matter what they are.
Yeah,
And,
I agree. Is that why appetizers are so popular?
That's a good question.
You know?
Maybe. Right, you want to test it. You guys just want to try it.
No, you just want to
I
taste.
don't know if you want to commit. It's like it's a commitment problem.
Yeah, I wonder if it is a commitment problem. Well, listen, Jim, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's always great to have you out
Dave,
here.
thank you for inviting me.
In Hollywood and Hollywild.
I miss you, Dave. Thanks for inviting me.
This last song by the Blank Tapes is a lot like how I feel right now. It's called Thinking of You.
And the good and bad that we
we're about out of time, but I wanted to give everybody a little pep talk. I do this for my friends all the time, and I'm quite good at it. I learned it from keeping a list of things I wanted to hear when I was in the trenches. Up to my eyes in mud, standing on my tiptoes for another breath of air. Yeah, I never cared much for homework, unless there was a payoff. Now, I want you to try something for the next week. Just see if it works for you. First, I want you to give yourself some credit for keeping it together and staying fluid in your life, and to getting the important stuff done. Cheese and crackers. You know how hard your life is. Give yourself a pat on the back. You are the only one that can do it. And that's why you got the custom job. It's the only job of its kind, and everyone needs you to do it like it should be done. And only you know what that looks like. So we're really rooting for you to get it right. Everybody wants you to succeed, even the people you don't even know. And when you do good, we all do good. And thank you for doing. Thank you very much. Next, I want you to take a hard look at your schedule and see if you can free up some time for you. You deserve it. And if you take care of you, you know what? Others are more likely to as well. Yeah, I also want you to start thinking of something that you can do that's a break from your main gig. That'll give you time off quickly and in a fun way. Life is hard, and most spin around making money. Keep an objective viewpoint about work, if it's just work, and don't let it have more power than it deserves. Make a list of everything. Lists and lists and lists. It trains the brain to categorize and file information. Now, learning how to use your brain is a great hobby. Knowing how your brain works unlocks the life you've always wanted. No joke. Visualize the ultimate. You can have the ultimate. Don't let people or things or opinions steal your joy. Listen to me now. You just let it roll off your back like water off a duck's back. Most of the bad doesn't work at all if you see and react objectively. Did you know that being angry for just 1 minute could take an hour to disappear? Dump that fast, or find someone you can discuss it with later, and then don't waste any time on anger. Everyone wants to fight now on social media, TV, radio, mostly because people don't want to fight. And that forces most people to hide, not from fear, but from relentless, implied, hollow, angry, physical threats. Get happy fast. I go to funny videos on the web or videos of animals I've never seen in the wild. Get your mind back into a positive state. Try your best to keep it there. Stay on the good foot. There is a silver lining to everything. Sometimes it's hidden, sometimes it's invisible, but that doesn't mean it's unreachable. Don't be afraid to look at anything from a different perspective. Stand on your head if it works. It has for lots of famous people. And last, here especially, and on TV and the web, don't believe anything. Check that out. Over a few days, make sure you're not having your leg pulled out of its socket by someone whose only goal is to get you riled up and have you angry all day. Do some research, get a dictionary, and improve yourself by reading. It will improve your viewpoint of life, yours and others. And don't forget to watch where you're walking. Everything's trying to make a living. You don't have to be mean about not being on the menu. And lastly, of all lasts, give yourself some thinking time. And when that happens, tell yourself at the end of it, good job for doing it. See you next week.